Hello, TCI family, Jonathan's Refuge, all of our faithful followers and friends from around the globe. Good to see you on this beautiful evening. Today is the 5th of September. That's right. I got to get that straight because the 4th was my anniversary, my 3rd year anniversary, married to the First Lady of TCI. I was hoping she would be in here and say hello real quick, but she's on the other side of the studio at the office here. So let's jump into our message tonight. I'm excited to talk about this concept because people are always asking, how do you change people's lives one person at a time? Because that's our slogan at one of our nonprofits, changing the world one person at a time. So how do you do that? How does a person change? How do you take a person who's low income and change them to a high income earner? How do you change a person who's morbidly obese to a healthy person? How do you make change? How do you change a person like the bishop who is how do we say this? Used to be very angry on a freeway. How did we make that change? These are little tidbits. My wife says something snappy and I just snap every time. How do we change that? Or my husband does this stupid thing he does and I snap. How do I change that? Right? We got to learn how to change. Where is the change and where does it come from? So I was looking at a lot of different scriptures and verses. And today I saw a couple different verses. I liked, first off, I'm a big fan of Proverbs. It's tattooed on my body in multiple places, scriptures from the book of Proverbs. One of the wisest men on earth, King Solomon. He says, keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. That's a very deep and profound statement. Out of the heart are the issues of life. So if you want to change, you have to change the heart of the person. So if it's you that's trying to change you, you've got to change your heart. If you're trying to change a client, we have staff that are case specialists that work with clients who are homeless and in addiction heavy. And we're talking heroin addictions, prostitution, really bad places, multiple rapes, abuses. And how do you get them to move the ball down the 5-yard line, 10-yard line as we go down the field to try to get them a success in their life? We got to work on the heart. John Maxwell always stated, one of my mentors, before you ask for a hand, right? Hey, I want you to help me help you. Before you do that, you got to touch their heart. And you're like, wait a second. If I'm helping them, that's enough. It's actually not. If you want people to perceive what you're saying, I hear a lot of people call and talk to me all the time. I want to do this and I want to do this and I'd like you to help me do this and donate money here and do this. And it's all just. When do I listen to people? It's really simple. I listen to the ones that touch my heart. What's important to me? Find out what's important to me. If you want to sell me on something, sell me on you. That's how you sell yourself. You need to find out what the person you're wanting to convince to do something is. You don't just walk up into a brand new female that you've never met. If I'd have walked up to Miss Cece, the first lady of the church, and said, hey, baby, I'm JB. I'm a pretty hot item. Want to go to bed? Miss Cece would have slapped me with a 2x4. But now that I've got her in marriage, I can walk by Miss Cece and be like, hey, baby, want to go to bed? There's an approach. I have touched her heart. I have permission to ask for that, and vice versa. Have you touched someone's heart yet, or are you just demanding they change? Well, they're older than me. Yeah, I've got parents still. Yeah. And just because they're older doesn't mean they're wiser. Love you. I always get myself in hot water. Age doesn't mean you're smart. I hear people all the time, I am old. Good. You're still an idiot. You were an idiot when you were young, and you're an idiot now as you're old. Age does not mean you're wise. What does define wisdom? It's when you have made mistakes in your life and you can show a track record of making positive change in your life. That is wisdom, and then you have a seat at the table. But you ever hear people that like boasting, they're beautiful on the outside, everything looks good, everything looks amazing, like the outside of the package is just beautiful. But what's on the inside? That's an interesting question. Let's see another scripture what we have here today. Because today we're talking about the heart. Now, the other scripture I found was in Matthew in the New Testament in the Bible. And that's Matthew 23, chapter 23, verse 25 through 29. And it says in the New Living Translation, it says, "Hypocrites, for you are so careful to clean the outside of the cup and the dish, but inside you are filthy, full of greed and self-indulgence. You blind Pharisee, first wash the inside of the cup and the dish, and then the outside will become clean." Wow. Now, go into Matthew 15:18, and I love this one. Well, let me just stop there actually before I get into Matthew 15. So let's talk about that. The outside looks good. Most of you know I made millions in real estate. Hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars I've made in real estate. I'm really good at it. What's one of my secrets? Someone always said, "How did you have all those renters and not ever worry about people paying you the rent on time?" And I know a lot of y'all thinking, yeah, it's because you were in the mob and you were a collection guy and you probably tell them all those things. No, actually, that's not it. One of my mentors who owned 163 houses, who I started buying houses from his collection and learned from him, taught me this great tip. Here you go. This is it. If you own real estate, here's your tip. And it's a guaranteed tip to guarantee your renters are amazing. When you come to have them and look at the house, hand them the keys, tell them to go inside. Tell them you got to make a phone call. Tell them you got to look at something on the front of the property, wherever their car is parked. And I want you to go walk around that car and look at the car. However, the inside of the car is going to be the inside of your house when they leave it. The one time that my business partner's wife went against my policy on this, because she said, "Oh, my heart just tells me they're good people. I love them. I can feel it in their souls." And I was like, "Oh my God, I got to tell this lady she's wrong." But how do you tell them that? You don't. You let them screw up and then they come back begging for, apologies. So she did, and they didn't. And second month, they didn't even pay rent on the second month. Forget 8 months down the road. Month 2, not even paying rent. Month 3, not paying rent. It's okay. I made my business partner's wife pay the bill for them since she was so adamant about it. You say that's harsh. No. I taught her a very valuable lesson. There are laws in this world, and when you violate a law, there is an action. There's consequences. When you allow a pig into a house, that turns the house into a pigsty. It's not complicated. My wife and me keep a tidy home. Is it perfectly clean? Not at all. We have a German Shepherd. It's got white fur everywhere. But you will see us consistently trying to clean the inside, because the outside will look well if the inside looks well. And that's something you'll see in business. Look at people's houses, how their houses are, how they take care of the inside of their home and their cars, or how they're going to take care of your finances, your companies, your products, and your dreams. We've got to change the inside. Now let's get more into the inside, because we're going to see what Jesus in the New Testament said. And he said in Matthew 15, "But those things which proceed out of the mouth come from the heart, and they defile the man." Now listen, y'all know me. I tell you this. This old archbishop ain't just preaching to you. He's preaching what he's going through. So I preach, and all preachers, they lying to you if they tell you, "I'm not preaching. I'm preaching about what do you call it? Cheating on your spouse. I'm just teaching that because I got people." No, he's going through something. People teach what they go through, especially when you see them beating on a harp. I'm Mr. Positive, so you're always hearing me talk about positive things. So that's why I've got a name of Mr. Positive. My wife's always looking at positive factors, not the negatives. That's why they call her Mrs. Positive. Okay? So what's interesting about this scripture is when you look at what Jesus said and how he said it, those things which proceed out of the mouth come from the heart. I saw that in my scripture in the last few weeks, and I just broke my heart because I realized I'm yelling at people in my car, and I'm spewing vile, man, and they defile the man, me, the human, the woman, you. It's defiling us. It doesn't do anything to anybody else. I watched a guy do exactly what I used to do: drive up, cut someone off, drive up, cut someone off. By the time we drove 28 miles on that road from where I stayed with my wife last night on our anniversary to the time we got to the 5 freeway, he never got out of my sight. I think maybe 10 cars up. He probably blew about 3 times the amount of gas that I used to in the short distance we went, the little 27 miles or so. And he probably has an aneurysm building in his head. With a lot of the stress that I've probably gone through, people say is a lot of stress. Absolutely. You can bury yourself in that. So who are you hurting? The car, the guy you yelled at, the old lady who doesn't drive right, and she probably shouldn't be driving, and she probably shouldn't be. But who does it affect? It defiles you and no one else. Keep going. For out of the heart proceed evil thoughts, murders, adulteries, fornications, thefts, false witness, blasphemies. Oh, man, this ain't pretty where we're going here, folks. These are the things which defile a man. But to eat the unwashen hands defile not a man? It's hilarious when you look at the stuff that comes out of our mouth. Vile. So what do you got to do? You got to change the heart. I am up front to most people a bull in the china cabinet. And when people say that, they don't know me then. I'm not going to boast right now about the things I do behind the doors. You people do that for me. I know who I am. I know I'm a sweet, compassionate, loving person. I have a tough exterior because I'm a tough guy. I've been through hell and back, went down, hung out, kicked some ass while I was down there, got out of there, and got back again. So, no, I'm not Mr. Rogers, and I don't plan to be. As the Archbishop of this organization, we work with men and women coming out of prison. Think about a human coming out of prison. What happens? They're coming from their environment in prison to the society out here. They think, hey, I'm good now, right? I was behaved. I did pretty good in prison. So the only problems I had in prison were because I was in prison. BS. Whatever problem you had in prison, you're going to have out here. Whatever problem you had out here, you're going to have in prison. Whatever problem you had with your previous marriage, if you don't fix it, you're going to have it in your next marriage. Both my wife and me, both of us, as we go through our marriage counseling for the last 3 years of our marriage and the year we courted each other, let me tell you something. We learned real quick. There's things from my previous marriage that I bring into this marriage. And I'm like, whoa, she doesn't deserve that. That was 19 and a half years of hell from a previous marriage that doesn't deserve to be over here. And vice versa. My wife's got 30 years of marriage. I don't deserve those things. That's her marriage, that problem, those people. I didn't do that. So you got to be careful. When we look at ourselves, what are we doing? We have to change what's in our heart. So I have to watch my words carefully. Now, you can go overboard. You can go to any extreme, folks. You're talking to Mr. Positive here. I'm in the process of raising $1 million. I'm going to raise $1 million. I'm going to raise $1 million. Hey, Chairman, we're running short. Don't you say the word short. We're not running short. We're fine. Come day to get the $1 million, nothing's there. You can wish all you want for happiness and go lucky. That ain't going to get you a hill of beans and a potato for dinner. Let me tell you what will. Faith without action is dead. So you can have all the faith in the world, but unless you go out and take a few steps to walk off the fat, you ain't going to lose any weight, baby. You got to have faith, but you got to take action with that faith. Merge it together. Put a lot of love and care in there and poof, see what happens. Allow the universe to work its magic. Allow God to pull that creative power that's in each of us. You and me have that. Jesus said, you will go on to do greater things than I. Greater. Calming storms physically, spiritually, healing people, all kinds of craziness in that Bible. People think that's just nuts. He barely tapped into the power that is available to you and I. That power is what can transform you inside in your heart. Some people know I have a nickname from the old street days in the mob right there, that tattoo, the Irish Beast. There's been times in my life when I tried to hide from that name. And then there's times where I try to I'm not a beast anymore. And then there's times where I promote the name. Let me tell you something. My name is Jonathan Edward David Brown. I am a little boy who wants to change the world for others who are hurting. And I'm also a fierce beast and a protector of those that God has put in my care. So I am all those things that have made me who I am. I am the beast, but it doesn't mean I'm a nasty person. That is not what it means. It means I am relentless. Now, what am I relentless at? What is my heart? That is the difference. The old beast was relentless at collecting the paychecks, getting the money from the VIG on the street, collecting it, getting it to the boss, making everybody happy, making sure nobody knew who we were, staying under the radar, and I was ferocious at it. That was good. So now what's the difference? It's right here. The heart's different. Now I am tenacious about changing the world one person at a time. I'm about taking a person who has never had anything good given to him and going and putting on the royal priest robe on top of their shoulders, handing them the keys to the brand new house, the brand new car, telling them, I know you wanted to go with your girlfriend on that trip, your fiance, and you couldn't pull it off because you didn't have it. Here's the transportation. Don't worry about the gas. That's on me and my wife. We love you. Go and enjoy this beautiful world. See, the inside changed. I wanted to help the little boy out there who got beat up, who got kicked on, whose whole face was shattered at 7 years of age. I wanted to help me because that little boy was what made the beast. And a lot of other situations that just kept compounding. And back in the day, we all said, just put it into the gut, put it aside, and we'll deal with it later. Don't get me wrong. There's a whole bunch of the feel-good, lovey-dovey, touchy stuff nowadays where we're getting way too into the feely-good, tushy stuff to make us go, oh, my God, I'm about to puke. It's called balance, folks. There is a balance in everything. There is a yin and a yang. There is a time for war and there is a time for peace. It's in the scriptures, not just the Bible, but the Vedas and the Quran, all of them. There's a time and place for pain and there's a time and place for joy. We have to master that by working on the inside. So as I close out this message, it's not about the fanciness of the cup on the outside, but what's on the inside. See, is your car clean? It doesn't matter if it's a jalopy. Do you take care of it like it's a Mercedes? Because someone once, I remember an office I had in Newport Beach. I had an employee who told me she chose to take the bus to work to save the world, right? She didn't want to pollute, which was actually a lie. Later on, I found out it was a lie. But she said it because she didn't want me to know she didn't have money for a car. And she lived in this little tiny room that was just trash. It was a trash place. I mean, I wouldn't stay in there if I needed to spend a night on the street. I'd just spend a night on the bench. It was cleaner on the outside. Okay. She was an amazing employee. This person was a rock star. She took care of everything of mine as though she was making $105,000. And back then she was only making, I think, $34,000. But by the end of the year and a half that she worked for me, she at the end of that made $105,000. She never had a degree. She never had a job. She never had anything that could say, I've earned this, except she did it every day for me. I always tell people, you want to make six figures? Earn it. I'll give you it to you. I have no problem paying a person six figures. Show me why you're worth it. I don't pay you six figures. I'll pay you something and you show me what you can do with it. And once you run with it, then I'll give you more keys to the kingdom and I'll give you some more money and I'll give you some more leads and some more ropes and some more tools. And then you keep going. The next thing you know, you're out there and you're one of the top dogs building the whole company in a division for me. That's how it's done. But to get to all of that, you got to work in here on the inside. Do you snap at people? Do you have a short, quick temper? Is your husband always wrong? Because, man, every time you point, just remember, those fingers are coming right back at you. The ones right there. They're coming right back at you. Stop focusing on what the world's doing. But you don't know what Trump's doing. You don't know what Kamala and Bojo are. You don't get it. Shut up. I get it. I get it all. Here's what I just understand more than a lot of us. That's all on the outside. My car is clean. It's a Toyota Prius. It's got some dents on the roof from hail. It's clean. The windshield's cracked. Need to get a new one. It's clean. It looks good on the inside. And so the outside also represents. It's 2015, 9 years old. Gets washed twice a week regularly. It's taken care of. Oil changed every 3,000 miles at the dealership. Every filter replaced, everything. Why? Because the inside. If you take care of the inside, everything else on the outside follows suit. You say, I want a wife, I want a husband, work on your inside first, fix you. That all follows with it. Love, all that stuff comes after you fix you. Stop worrying about what everyone in the world's doing. Start worrying about you. But you don't understand. Wrong. I understand. Nobody controls Jonathan Brown. Only Jonathan Brown. I am the only person that holds any sway on what I'm going to do. I might take opinions from my wife. I might not. I might take opinions from someone else. I might not. At the end of the day, I don't control my wife. What she does is totally her responsibility. I can give her my 2 cents, but that's it. Nobody controls her, and nobody controls me, and nobody controls you. While Nelson Mandela was in prison for what, 2 decades? He always talked about it. He wasn't even a prisoner, but he controlled his own life. He didn't allow any stress to get. He talks about it. He just turned the stress into a joy and a beautiful thing. He found the ability to turn, and that's because inside he was a good man. He had a good heart, and he focused on his heart. So that's what I want us to focus on this week. As we go out there and coexist in the world, make sure we coexist in a way that allows us to change from the inside out. Because out of our heart, out of our mouth, proceeds what comes from the heart. I love you all so much. God bless. We'll see you next week.